Welcome. I'm Kinetic Symphony. I hunt down and report on mysterious and weird true stories, from glitches to the paranormal. Case file number 368, written by TriggerHappy66, a case of contact lens asymmetry. I need to give some context first. I have contact lenses for my eyes that are daily disposable. Recently, I had gone through my stack, so I ordered new ones and got exactly 4 boxes, 2 for each eye, 2 times 90 days worth of lenses. Now I recently got a room because I've gone to college, so logically, I bought 2 boxes there and left 2 for home. This week I've been home since Thursday, and I've used the lenses. I was happy to finally get rid of my glasses again, and so the 2 boxes were open. Now, another important detail is that my eyes have different prescriptions, so I always get 1 lens from each box every time. So with that information, I present the most absurd thing ever. This morning I went to get my lenses for the day, and took one from the left box for my left eye. Then I went to get one for my right eye, but then noticed that the box was sealed shut. I immediately froze and got an intense feeling of confusion. With my mouth open, I spinned the box around and checked if it was actually completely closed. And yes, even though I had been taking lenses from it for the last couple of days, the box appeared brand new and unopened. After this shock, I tore the carton open and got my lens, and also noticed that it was completely full. Please, for the love of God that I don't even believe in, someone give me a logical explanation for this, or I'll lose my mind. Case file number 369, written by bonusminutes, a mysterious road elevated that did not exist. Back when I was in college, probably 2012-2013, I experienced something weird with my friend. I went to a community college in New Jersey and had met a lot of friends. One night, 2 guys that I didn't know super well, but seemed cool, wanted to chill. I'll call them Rourke and Eric. I drove the 3 of us to Eric's house for video games, movies, and for Rourke and I to spend the night. We were having fun, but around 2 a.m., Eric's dad inexplicably just said that Rourke and I couldn't spend the night. This was annoying because my place was at least 45 minutes away, and I would need to drive Rourke home first, wherever that was. This part of the state is very rural, with a bunch of thick forest roads and farmland, so everything is far apart there. So begrudgingly, Rourke and I got into my car, and since Eric guided us to his place earlier, and neither Rourke or I knew where we were, I would need to GPS to his house. At the time, I still had a slider phone, not a smartphone, so I used one of those old TomTom GPS units. We started on our way, following the GPS instructions through the wooded roads, making small talk and whatnot. Before long, we ended up on a wooded road that the GPS didn't have a name for. The space for the road name was just blank, which I had never seen before. Less than a minute after we got on the road, the GPS lost its signal. I didn't think much of it and just continued, figuring it would come back. The road started off normal and unremarkable, but it gradually got steeper and steeper downhill. Rourke and I commented on it, but brushed it off. However, as the minutes passed, the road got more and more simple. Eventually there were no guardrails, then it stopped having streetlights, then it became a dirt road with no markings. Then it narrowed for just enough space for 1 car, one way. The forest on either side was hugging us, and aside from the dirt road, there was no signs of human influence. It's also worth noting that there was never an intersecting road to turn onto. It was a lone road. We also never saw another car. Rourke and I were kind of nervously laughing about it, trying not to freak out. The decline had become very steep, and it was almost a perfectly straight road. I had considered trying to turn around, but at that point the road was too narrow to turn around, and it would have been awful for my car to drive back up something so steep for so long. So we just descended into the darkness, only able to see what my headlights showed. All in all, we probably went down for 15 to 20 minutes, and we were going decently fast. I doubt we went below 20 miles per hour, much faster a lot of the time, so that I wasn't killing my brake pads. I feel as though we should have easily passed sea level. Eventually the road evened out, guardrails and streetlights came back, the GPS signal returned, and we just ended up on some side road like 2 minutes from Rourke's place. He insists that the road had never been there and there was no mountain near his place for us to have descended. I ended up just crashing at Rourke's place. The next day I drove back the way I came and could not find the strange road. nor could I find any road that was remarkably elevated. Case file number 370, written by commiegothgirlfriend. It's awkward when people stare at you, especially when it lasts for 5 minutes. A couple of days ago, I was leaving my apartment to go to dinner with my parents. I stepped out of the front door and locked the door behind me, but caught a glimpse of something in the corner of my eye. I turned my head to face the apartment complex across from my building, and there are 2 children, a girl maybe 6 and a boy maybe 4, standing completely still on the stairs and staring at me. No parents in sight. It immediately freaked me out, but I waved because I figured they were just nosy kids who like to stare, but they didn't wave back or move at all. I turned my head to walk away and head to the stairs in my building, and I catch a glimpse of another person, a woman on her 3rd floor porch, standing and facing me, staring and unmoving just like the children were. Skeeved me out really badly, so I moved fast to the stairs to get to my car, and when I got down the stairs to the sidewalk of the parking lot, there was a red car pulling out of its space to drive off. As soon as I look at the driver, he stops in his tracks, right in the middle of the road thingy, and he stares at me. Then after a pause and me standing there in fear, he backed up into his spot and sat there and watched me as I walked to my car. I'm thoroughly frightened at this point, and I jump in my car and lock it immediately, crank it and take a deep breath. I look up from the wheel, and across the sidewalk and grass in front of me, there is a woman pushing her toddler on her cart, except they are not moving and they're both staring at me through my windshield. I start to panic a little, and I text my roommates and tell them what's happening and that I'm scared, and when I look back up from my phone, everyone and everything is moving again like normal. The lady with the toddler shyly waves at me because I'm staring at her in fear. The guy in the red car pulls back out of the spot and drives away. Everything just paused and focused on me for less than 5 minutes, and it was horrifying, and I do not know how to explain it. I was getting worried I had something weird on me, or I was falsely accused of something. It was really freaky, and I hope to not experience it again. Case notes. I was having a symmetry thought here. What if whatever caused this made you appear to them as you staring at them? Like you were the one tranced out, to them they were normal, and to everyone in this scenario, everyone else seemed weird, but to them, they were acting normal. Something sort of possessed you all in that area. I don't know if it was a spirit or some phenomena in that area that just made everyone go into a weird trance, not realizing what they were doing or misperceiving what other people were doing. I've never heard of this effect outside of hauntings, but then it's in a limited capacity and it would happen again because you're possessed. That's not the vibe I get here, so there's one element that fits there, but everything else doesn't. Very cool, but also freaky, of course. Case file number 371, written by Dumb Spyro Spiro. When frames skip a beat in real life. I'm currently on a metro bus heading home, sitting about dead center of the vehicle, so 4 rows back from the front entrance and the driver with the automated fare collector next to him. Since the start of the route, I was the only person riding, and it stayed that way until we got closer to the city and a woman boarded. I was just kinda in my own little world, listening to music on my headphones, but for whatever reason, I started watching her fiddling with the bill acceptor, trying to get it to accept crinkled dollars. She struggles for some time and finally gets her fare in. Then she turns my way to walk down the center aisle towards the seats. This is when it gets weird. She likes to phase forward a good 10 steps down the aisle to about where I'm seated. I don't mean she moved super fast or took a giant step, or she somehow looked closer than she was. I mean, 1 second, she's at the front of the bus, and the next, she's halfway down the aisle of the bus. This woman moved half an entire bus length in less than a second. If it were a film, it would look like a handful of frames were cut out and the reel spliced back together. After that, she just casually continued to the back of the bus. I wasn't sleepy like that, hell, I don't think I even blinked. Super weird event in an otherwise boring bus ride. Bonus file, written by the freshest scone, a white hat luminescent figure moving in slow motion. I don't believe in ghosts or anything paranormal. I'm not religious or spiritual, and just generally don't think anything of the sort exists. But tonight I encountered something that genuinely terrified me, and I can't form any sort of logical explanation for it. So I have a dog and I almost always walk her at night due to my schedule. I'm currently living with my parents who live in a very upscale private community. one which I'm extremely familiar with and I've walked hundreds of times before, both during the day and night. It's a very safe place, and I never feel any sort of risk walking at night, aside from visibility to passing cars, for which I wear reflective armbands. Tonight I was taking my dog on our daily walk, and we crossed a road that led from one section of the subdivision to another. While entering this next section, I noticed up ahead about 80 to 100 meters a figure moving down the road across from the direction I was going. The best way I can describe it is if a person was wearing a slightly luminescent white hat skipping down the street. The problem is, first of all, there wasn't enough light to get a clear view of whatever I saw. I could definitely see the light that appeared to be a hat, if it was a person wearing one, but not enough to discern anything more. And the most disconcerting thing was that even if the person was wearing a light hat skipping down the street, they would have been moving in slow motion, almost suspended in air between jumps. There was also no sound either. After seeing this, I yelled out several times asking if there was anyone there, and I didn't get any response. At that point, I noticed that my dog was whimpering and had her tail between her legs. For me, this was the scariest part because I've never seen her act like that in any situation ever. If she sees another person while we're out walking, she'll get excited and pull on a leash, wanting to go up and say hi. If there's another dog or animal she's unsure of, she'll bark and start running in circles around me. I have never, under any circumstances, seen her act scared and start whimpering. That was enough to make me go, nope, and turn the hell around. Like I said, I don't have any belief in anything paranormal, but I had no intention of messing around with whatever the hell I had just encountered. So we turned around and finished our walk. I admittedly glanced behind frequently, making sure there wasn't anyone following. We're now home safe, which leads up to me typing this right now. I've never experienced something like that, and I have no idea what to think. Rationally, I think it would be more likely I hallucinated or something, rather than it being anything paranormal. But the thing that bugs me the most is my dog's extremely uncharacteristic reaction. If I had been seeing things, then why would she have behaved in a way she never had before? Just wanted to share my story here, and hopefully I don't sound insane.